All right, a little bit of a different format for the video today. Obviously, using my phone here. If you could see how things were set up, you'd laugh. Obviously, there's a lot going on behind me, which is kind of the topic of the video today. So, I want to talk about clutter and kind of disorganization. This is something that I think I've always struggled with, but I've really struggled with as an adult in the last, I don't know, 5 to 7 years. COVID didn't help, basically, is the short version. And I don't want to use that as a kind of excuse, but um, overall, I I don't think I'm like a hoarder or something, but I feel like hoarder adjacent. I have too many things. So I'm sitting here in my garage and oh, that was the wrong button. Man, one thing I hate about this interface, if you slide even the slightest bit, it um, tries to zoom and doesn't like the buttons. There's like preset buttons for optical zoom and they go away if you like move your like a pixel over. Anyhow, rant aside. Um, I zoomed out a little bit just so that we can see here. Look at all this shit I've got all over here. This is just one space that is in disarray. There's conduit over here that has wires running in it, but it's not on the wall. The whole ass thing. This is just one kind of, I don't know, aspect of how clutter dominates my life. And it feels so dysfunctional. And I don't know why I struggle so hard with it. Um, I know the primary like culprit, which is board games. I love board games. I am an avid board game collector. Do board game content creation, and um, I feel like that's the banner under which I excuse my owning too much stuff habit. Um, Overall, things I'd like to change are that I have too many belongings and I too easily allow myself this is part of that being an adult, having some disposable income, that sort of thing. I too readily allow myself to pursue interests. I want to get better at excelling at the interests I already have. I want to do great board game content creation. I don't want to dabble in 500 different things. I do, don't get me wrong, I do want to dabble in 500 different things, but that is like a toxic habit that has cost me in ways that are hard to quantify. But what I would say is like a good example of this. The other day, I was um, watching a video and just sort of thinking about a friend of mine made some merch recently. And I was thinking, man, it'd be really cool to be able to screen print some shirts. And like before I knew it, I'd spent a couple of hours, maybe not quite a couple hours, but a considerable amount of time kind of like identifying a basic screen printing setup. And I was like ready to pull the trigger on this. Look around. Where the fuck am I gonna put a screen printing? Like you need this big table, then like a squeegee and ink and all sorts of shit. And it's like, would I love to screen print shirts? Fuck yes, I would. That would be cool. But I already do board game content creation. I have two different types of 3D printers behind me. Over there, I got a laser cutter that, like a 100-watt CO2 laser. The tube is like 5 feet long, right? Like I can do some crazy shit with that. I got enough hobbies without also screen printing some fucking shirts. No. So, anyhow, I've been reading a lot lately about procrastination, which is a problem that I suffer from significantly, and the link between it and clutter. And it's actually really interesting to read about because those seem like two kind of disparate things, very much so to me, even though I suffer from both. Um, and you know, broadly, I still got some more reading to do there. I'm like half a chapter into this kind of discovery about this. Um, but broad strokes, uh, the idea is that procrastination largely comes from a desire for safety. Um, Safety, like a good example of that for me is I drag my heels on content creation, um, because if I don't put anything out there, then I can't be judged for it. And what's really what really bakes my noodle about that, really fucking fucks with me, is I don't actually think, yeah, like there's times in my life where I was scared of judgment. I spent a lot more time. I used to spend a lot of time at the skate park on my BMX bike. That was my hobby for a decade until I kind of aged out, started having kids, etc. Um, I spent more time than I care to admit being worried about what other people thought of me and being really cautious or reluctant to, do a line at the skate park, because other people might be watching and they might, think something about it or whatever. I really did feel um, judged and aware of the potential for for judgment. I was scared. I don't feel that with content creation. I live stream all the time. One of the reasons I live stream is because of ease of execution. I fuck up continuously. Chat flames me like to no end. It's their favorite fucking thing is to tell me when I've made a mistake. I fuck something up, I roll badly, I say something, some name, god awful name wrong, um, whatever it is, you know. Um, God, I'm trying to think of what it was. There's a game that diatoms. I'm going to say it wrong now. I'm second guessing myself. I don't even know diatoms. I think is maybe the right pronunciation. Anyways, I don't know what the right pronunciation is. All I know is that I was told at the end of a 4-hour stream that this name to this game that I said incorrectly, like every 2 minutes for 4 hours, that I got it wrong every fucking time the whole way through. It's a word I'd never heard before. Obviously, I'm still, confused about it. That VOD's still on my YouTube channel. I didn't care. I'm not upset. Um, you know, I desire this perfection in terms of my setup and videography and all this sort of stuff. But I allow myself to make mistakes, and it's not that challenging. But nonetheless, I'm hesitant with content creation. And I think if I'm honest, like there has to be some part of it that's fear of judgment. But there's this weird part that's sort of scared about being successful, that I might actually like get what I want, and then what, you know? It's weird. So anyhow, this is all this big fucking narrative arc to get back to procrastination and clutter. And the idea presented in this book that I'm reading called Get Things Done is that procrastination exists as a safety mechanism to protect yourself from judgment, from choices, whatever, the outcome of your actions. Um, and how clutter largely exists in an adjacent space where it's hard to let things go because we hold on to things that make us feel good, they make us feel safe. Um, so the practical example of that for me is board games. It's also a ton of other stuff. I would say that I have trouble letting go. My wife also suffers from the same ailment. And I think I think what's interesting is when I see, like, I don't think I know a person who doesn't dabble in this problem, right? Where they have some belonging or whatever, some room in their house full of stuff that probably they should have got rid of, 10 years ago, right? Um, the running joke for me is uh, my wife, her uncle, had this iron core amplifier in his basement that he has successfully gotten rid of. Okay. But it had been there for like 20 plus years. This is like something that would have fit in really nicely with like a 60s AM radio. Okay. And we're talking, it's like 2010s, and this thing's still in the fucking back room because there might be a use for it one day, right? Everyone I know dabbles in this. The difference for me is I don't dabble. This isn't dabbling. Yeah, this space is messy. I was talking to my sister about this, and she's like, don't worry, like, don't feel bad. My garage is messy too. That's the only place of hers that's messy. The difference for me is I don't dabble. Every space in my life looks like this. And uh, I'm really tired of it. I recognize it's dysfunctional, but I struggle so hard to address that dysfunction. Just like procrastination. I'm aware that I'm a procrastinator, but I find new and innovative ways of fucking procrastinating every time. So, all of this is to say, I'm intending to deal with my clutter problem. I anticipate that that's going to be hard. The board game thing, for instance, my board game channel is called Opportunity Cost. A significant part of that is because I like the idea of opportunity cost as a concept in games. If I have two actions, A and B, if I take A, I can't take B. If I take B, I cannot take A. They are mutually exclusive. Part of the cost is the inability to do the other thing. One of the things that I use as a cover story for my clutter habit is I have all these games and I want to make content with them. I want to do reviews or whatever. And I have a lot of trouble letting go of them if I haven't executed on that. Because, well, fuck, I could do a review of it. And like, what if I sell it? Then I won't, like, how am I going to do, how am I going to do a review? Needless to say, that's not a practical fucking consideration. I have I always say 1,000 board games, and realistically, it's definitely more than that. Right now, where I am sitting, there is one, two, three, four, five 8-foot wide garage shelves with every tier of it filled with board games. And I have more in the house, and I have more in the garage, the other garage. um, like they're not neatly put away. They're somewhat neatly. They were neat. So that maybe whatever. I'm trying to rationalize it here, right? Obviously. Yes, I probably could fit all of the games on those 5 shelves if I had to. But fuck, it's still 5 shelves. That's fucking 40 linear feet, 2 feet deep, multiple tiers high of board games. Like when I go to the local board game convention, the collection that they have available is smaller than my personal collection for like 500 people attending a fucking convention. Like this is a problem. So anyhow, this is something I'm intending to try and make progress on. In the same way as I've been trying to make progress on other things, I'm going to do so incrementally by letting some stuff go, and also by being more, by fulfilling, like by closing that loop. The open loop that I leave, that I use as my justification, is that, well, I can make content with this. I don't want to lose that opportunity cost. I don't want to miss out on that. well, maybe I need to start making more content then. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. My schedule has recently changed. I have 2 business days a week now available that I did not have before, um, that largely are mine to use as I see fit. Now, there is a ton of like family stuff I need to be putting some energy towards, but the biggest single thing there is I'm going to be working on more content creation. Some of that I'm going to try to do here, but most of it I'm going to try to do over on OpCost. And I think something that's been difficult for me to say out loud is uh, that's my dream. Like I want to make the world a better place through board game content creation, and I think I can do so effectively enough to support my family. And that's big and scary, and it's not going to happen unless I make it happen. So I'm going to put that in motion more intentionally now and use that as an opportunity to segue into getting rid of some of the shit that I've got around here, because it is vast and ridiculous. Um, yeah, so gonna work on my clutter habit. Gonna do that. I don't know exactly what that looks like yet. I think you can see I'm doing some painting behind me. Basically, this is the catalyst for all of this. Behind me is a black painted wall that will be kind of a studio space for content creation focused on making things. I have 3D printers. Um, I have a laser cutter. I am building a DIY investment casting setup because I don't have enough hobbies. So I know I will not be doing screen printing. But that's largely going to take place behind me here. And uh, I'm going to figure out a schedule for how I'm going to start being consistent and showing up about that. Um, as part of that, I got this wall done, and basically I put up a second sheet or second layer is the word I'm looking for of drywall, 5/8 inch drywall, drywalling with 5/8 inch drywall. Respect the hell out of anybody who does that all day. Fuck that. It sucked. Okay, you can see how janky my work is. If you don't have to look far to see the jank. I don't care. It's functional and I'm happy. But like I behind the laser cutter, when 15 years ago, when I moved into this space, there was like some drywall that had got wet and it was moldy, and I cut that drywall out. And it sat as like just vapor barrier and fiberglass insulation behind the laser cutter for like a period of years, you know? I finally patched that over. I then slapped this 5/8 inch drywall on it, and I was just going to leave it unfinished. And I decided, you know what? No, I really want this to feel finished and intentional. And I'm almost at that part now. So I just did a second coat of black paint on the wall behind me. It's still wet, so it's a little flashy, but it's going to look really fucking good. And it's sort of like one corner. It's literally the furthest like spot in my home, on my property. This wall behind me is like the furthest spot, and it is going to be done. And I'm just going to slowly start working this way and get this desk organized. Be intentional about that. Start working towards all the shit over here that's off camera that is 50 times worse than what you see over there. Um, so, yeah, somehow painting a wall has become a catalyst for fixing the clutter in my life, removing it. And that's going to be a long, long process. Um, like realistically, that's an habitual thing that's going to take me years. But I'm going to get started on it now. Better late than never. And I'm really looking forward to it. And in that context, I'm really proud of myself. I have been doing my gratitude habit here. Today was day 30. I did move this video. I bumped it a day to accommodate my new schedule. But I've done my gratitude habit for 30 days, every single fucking day. Um, really proud of myself for that. It's felt really good. I'm a little disappointed in the prompts that I have. They're a bit samey or really high level, and I might try to tweak that at some point in the future. But overall, I'm really proud of myself for seeing that through for a month. I'm going to continue doing it, like I said, until this jar is empty. So I think I had about 100 things in here, so I got a couple months left to go. And these videos I'm going to keep making for a year, like I said. And what is this, week 6, week 7? I'm not sure, but it's been a good little chunk. And um, I've really challenged myself to just put myself out there with feelings and all, like just showing off my cluttery bullshit and my talking about my board game problems and all this sort of stuff. Um, I've just decided that that's a part of me, whether that might be undesirable, but it is true. And part of moving forward and managing that is accepting that. And part of that for me is talking about it. So here we are. Anyways, that's my diatribe on clutter, rather. I don't know if diatribe's the right word there. My monologue. I get accused of monologuing all the time, so probably because it's true. Anyhow, great talking with you, friends, and I will see you next week.